Hello YouTube. Today I want to give you guys 7 tips for players who are not new. These are for like moderate players, players who have maybe played a campaign or two, kind of know what they're doing, but aren't maybe are struggling on champion levels, or they want to start a new campaign on bloodmoon or stygian. They don't really know what to do, or they're not doing so well. So after 450 something hours of game time, I think I am able to do this. And this works This is mostly for vanilla. I know I do a lot of modded content, but this does work for modded as well. Now the first tip is to dismiss all your heroes. Not all your heroes, but dismiss a lot of your heroes early on. So I'm on, I think week 15 on this campaign. This is the first campaign I've ever done. I kind of keep it around for shits and giggles. So I was doing this because I wanted the achievement where you finish with afflicted heroes, so ignore that. But let's say I go into a mission, and I end a mission, like I take Cecil on a mission. This guy's got, he's got alright skills. He's level 0, though. Let's say Cecil ends the mission with, 62 stress, because I don't have a stress healer. I don't need Cecil. Cecil is fucking worthless to me. If he has 62 stress, he's trash, and I'm just going to dismiss him. I don't need to keep him around and bring him to do another mission. Like, this guy's kind of okay. He's got pretty bad, Slugger's alright, but these are not too great. I might just dismiss him. Like, 41 stress, do I want to bring 41 stress onto a mission? No. Do I want to waste money? Like, I only have $13,000. Do I want to be wasting money healing his stress and getting rid of these quirks? It's probably like 3,000 gold right there. Not really. Like, I can get a better man-at-arms later. I just need to get through. All these people are worth this one mission. This guy, he's got -1. He's a leper with minus speed. Like, how much worse can you get? You have 1 speed. So, like, once he gets, 80 stress after a mission, I'm just going to throw him away. I don't have a reason to keep him, because I can get a better leper once I upgrade my stagecoach. Like, they're just not worth it to me. So, instead of wasting money, and wasting stress, or bringing high-stress heroes onto missions, just throw them away. These guys are cannon fodder. If you get a good guy, maybe keep Dismiss. Dismiss is alright. Get some people who have good quirks. If you find someone with a good quirk, or a really good setup on their level 0 skills, keep them and keep going with them. But these starting people, they're all worthless until you start leveling them up. Alright, tip number 2 is going to be lowering light at the end of dungeons for more loot. This goes along quite nicely with, it's kind of a side tip, is to get more loot, learn what curios do. Just pull up the wiki and just be like, okay, what does there's a wiki page of curios, and say, oh, I need medicinal herbs for this, or I need keys for this. And once you start racking in curios, don't guess. Guessing is dumb. There's a wiki for a reason. It's not cheating. Just use it. You'll start getting a lot better. You'll start learning what the curios do. It'll give you a lot of buffs and stress heals and quirks and purge negative quirks. A lot of useful shit. But let's hear. So radiant light, you get you get your bonuses. But then black as pitch. Loot. +3 stars or pluses to loot. So if you're at the end of a dungeon, I wouldn't do this at the middle of a shitty hallway fight halfway through, and then continue, because I don't want to waste 4 torches. But if I'm at the end of a dungeon and I have nothing else, and I'm on the last turn and I'm about to kill somebody, just puff the torch. Right? It's shift click to just click this, and then what you do is you get more loot, and then the dungeon's already over, so you just get more loot at the end of a fight. So this, along with using curios, can really get you far. Get you a lot farther and get you a lot more money, and can help speed up you getting out of the shitty early game where you have to dismiss heroes and don't have any upgrades. Alright, tip number 3 is going to be what you focus on with your trinkets and your quirks. It's speed and it's accuracy. More so with trinkets here, because you can't control quirks as much. But let's take 2 trinkets. Let's say you have a +10 accuracy trinket, or a +15% damage trinket. And they're not the same thing. If you got the same thing, that would be awesome. But, so if you're, especially, this is more important in the early game when you have basically nothing. And this also kind of works more for modded Darkest Dungeon. When you have so many mods, you can get more trinkets. And there's a lot more, with more trinkets means there's more speed trinkets, more accuracy trinkets. But something as simple as a speed stone can be so good in the early game. Any sort of speed trinket, any sort of accuracy trinket is what you bring in the early game. Not damage, not like HP or some bullshit like that. Speed and accuracy. Because with your 10, if you have 90 accuracy and you do 15 damage with your hit, getting plus 10 accuracy means the chance that they dodge goes down like significantly. But if you have 15 damage and you get a 15% damage, all right, so 10% of that is 1.5, and then 5% of that is 0.75. So I'm doing 2.25 damage. I'm doing like 3 damage, but I'm not hitting as often. So in the long run, not hitting is hurting you like 20 damage or another 15 damage. So you're not actually making that up. In the same token, speed is so incredibly vital because what you're trying to do with speed is prevent actions. When you're low level and your guys are all really bad, the best way to win fights is to not get hit because you can't heal well, and to overwhelm your enemies. Because if 4 really bad attacks, probably 3 of them will hit, and then you can kill the enemy. So you buff speed because if you have a cultist brawler with 5 speed or something, and then you have 5 speed, there's a 50-50 chance if he'll go ahead of you. But if you have 7 speed, you're almost consistently going ahead of him because of the way the math works. He has to roll 3 higher than you on the magic 1d8 invisible speed roll there, which is not that high of a chance. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not that high. So if you can get ahead of him consistently, that means you can stun him to prevent an action, or if you have enough people in front of him, you can just kill him. And when you start preventing actions, fights get a lot easier. So people like the Crusader or the Leper with their low speed really aren't that great. If you can buff that, that's why I think speed is so important, because you're preventing actions, which just makes the fight so much easier. Because you likely can't heal through damage. So if you stun them or kill them, there's no damage. You don't even have to heal. The best heal, I saw this in a YouTube comment. The best heal is the one you don't even have to go through to do, because there's just no damage done. So that's why I think speed and accuracy are the best two things, because you're preventing actions, because you're going first, and then you're getting that kill. If everyone goes first with low damage, they'll still kill a guy. Except if they had 15% more damage, you might just overkill him. You don't need to have 50,000 damage. You just need to have 20 damage and then kill him with 2 dudes. That's all you need. It's fine. Now the next tip is going to be focus back rank enemies, particularly not like a cultist brawler that spawns in row 3, but back rank enemies that deal high damage or deal high stress. Let's just look through some of the monster lists here. So, cultist brawler spawns in the front, doesn't really do much. Cultist acolyte spawns in the back, can stress you out, and can fuck with your position. That's a lot more deadly than a guy that just does a fucking bleed. That doesn't really do much. Brigands, they're kind of easy. A madman spawns in the back, does high stress damage to you, has high dodge. That's a high priority target. Bone rabble spawns in the front, fucking useless. Doesn't do anything. Alright, Bone Soldier spawns in the front, does nothing but damage. Bone Courtier spawns in the back, does a shit ton of stress damage. Arbalist can mark people and then do a shit ton of damage. Bone Defender can stun you and push you back. That's the most he can do. He spawns in the front. This Spearman guy, he spawns in row 3 and can hit all 4 people at once. Bone Bearer spawns in the back. Let's think of those 4 Radiant Update level champion level monsters. Bone Bearer spawns in row 4. Squishy Gap spawns in row 4. Hateful Virago spawns in row 4. The Swine Skeever spawns in row 4. All the really deadly things spawn in rows 3 and 4, basically. The giant row 1-2 monsters, they're deadly too. But this guy can cause you diseases and do you giant stress damage. Spawns in row 4. Swine Drummer does stress damage and can mark you for other things. Spawns in row 3 or 4. All the dangerous shit spawns in the back. The Fungal Zombie, he doesn't do anything. He spawns in row 2. He does mark damage. You know who marks him? The guy that spawns in row 4. The Crone spawns in row 4. If you get into the pattern here, all the danger shit spawns in the back row. So if you're bringing a Leper or a Crusader or a Bounty Hunter that doesn't use Finish Him, all you're really hitting is the front 2 ranks. In the front two ranks, from what we've looked at, is like fungal zombies and bone militia and cultist brawlers. Not stuff that you have to worry about, or like the pelagic guardian. But if I have like a grave robber, an arbalist, or a hound, or really anything that can hit the back row, that like the purple fish, or I don't know, like the madman or the crone, that stuff spawns in the back and can seriously, you can heal that HP back with enough time. But if they're stress nuking you turn after turn after turn, you can't really heal stress as quickly, which is why you have to be killing the back ranks as quick as you can, and then you leave those rank people back for as long as you can. Now, tip number 5, which I just hinted at, is stalling. Stalling is what you do at the end of a fight to prolong the fight even longer to get more heals off and more stress heals off. So the reason you leave the brawler, or the bone rabble, or the bone soldier, or the pelagic guardian till last is because they don't do anything besides HP damage. So, they're not that strong against stuns. Like 70 stun versus like a 140, it's not bad. You got 50 stun, that's almost a guarantee. 65 stun, you can stun these guys really easily. So when you have and all you have left is like a cultist brawler or two, just try like stunning them and then healing, or stunning them and stress healing, and then you kill them after 2 turns. Really, what you have is if there's one dude left, like one enemy, he has 2 full rounds before reinforcements start up. Now, the way you start triggering reinforcemements is you do actions that aren't attacks. Like you move, or you do an attack that does no damage, like flashbang. Not like stunning blow. Stunning blow does damage, that doesn't count. But like flashbang, or a guard, or a heal, or a stress heal. Those are the types of things that will start you on the trend towards reinforcements coming in. You'll know when reinforcements come in because you'll get like a fucking pop-up and be like, finish these guys quickly. You're like, okay. But you have the end of the round to do that. So, when you stall, and you give this, let's say you give a cultist brawler, you give him 2 full turns by himself, and he does like, what the hell does he even do? Let's look at this. He does 2 to 4 damage, 7 damage. If he crits, he does 11 damage. Like, a champion level Vestal heals for 9. So you're maybe losing like 2 HP, but let's say he misses. He doesn't have that high accuracy on Stumbling. He doesn't have that high accuracy on Run for the Old Gods. So, if he misses, or if you stun him and you prevent his actions, you're healing more, and you're stress healing more than he's really dealing. So you keep these guys alive, because they're not doing very much. He's doing 4 to 7 damage. That's shit. He has a bleed, but like, whatever. So they're not doing much. This Bone Rabble's not doing much, the Bone Soldier's not doing much. And then you're healing beyond it, so you're getting yourself back in tip-top shape for the next fight, when you have to start fighting the really terrible enemies again, like the Bone Courtier, or the Madman, or the Cultist Acolyte, and stuff that I was talking about before. The back rank stuff that's going to kill you. So start stalling. Notable things, the Pelagic Guardian, I don't believe, ever spawns reinforcements. He has so much prot that the devs are like, yeah, just keep him alive as long as you can. So you can stall on him indefinitely. Size 2 enemies, like the really fat ones, like the Big Brigand or the Bone General, they never ever spawn reinforcements either because they're size 2. So you can stall on them indefinitely as well. So you could honestly spend 10 turns if you're good enough, or you're like if you like start missing attacks or whatever, to stall on people if you have if you have a size 2 enemy. You could spend forever to stress heal all the way down to 0. It's totally fine. You can do that. Some people hate stalling. They call it a cheap tactic. I don't think so. I think it's smart. If you're able to stall effectively, I think that makes you a really good player. So I totally suggest stalling. Tip number 6 is going to be try to synergize your teams. You can't really do this early game because you have a bunch of shitty heroes. You're picking up level 0 trash with 4 skills unlocked. Half of them aren't even good. You don't have to synergize them. Once you get into it, I'm not going into a champion level Warren's mission. I'm not like gonna roll a dice and then make that my team. I'm not gonna bring people that don't have good synergy, because then it's just like 4 solo people or 3 solo people and like a healer kind of going in at a thing. I want stuff that works together well, combos off each other, and can allow for quicker kills. Obvious example, it's like Bounty Hunter. I was trying to let's get a Mark team together. Bounty Hunter, Houndmaster, Occultist, and Arbalist. This is a Mark team. I don't know what some people say it's this marked for death. It's actually not. This is the superb Mark team, because what this does is when you put the Bounty Hunter in, what you gain here is you get a stun on the Houndmaster, but if you go here, you get stress heal on the Houndmaster, and you get flashbang, and you still get your stuns on the Bounty Hunter. What you lose is you lose like artillery and you lose Demon's Pull. But that doesn't matter. You can use stab, weird, stun, and then like in the hex. So this you go like a Mark team, for example. You get stress heals, you get heals, you get guards, you get mark damage. Notably on these three guys, the Occultist has high speed, so he can mark people, and then these three can gun him down. That's a great team. Think of other things, like maybe you don't want to bring the Abomination when he gets religious people screwed up. You used to not even be able to do that. You used to not be able to bring an Abomination with religious heroes. You can now, luckily. But if you're going to use Psych Up, maybe don't bring a Vestal, a Leper, and a Crusader. Like, maybe you don't have to do that. If you want to do, like, you get bleeds here, you get, like, a trinket that has plus damage versus bleeding, you can maybe bring a Hellion or bring a Jester. That also applies for marked, for modded Darkest Dungeon, where there's a lot more synergies, because there's a lot more classes you can play with. Other stuff, like, you always want to have a healer, but where do you want the healer? You don't want to just throw the Vestals in 4. Like, alright, the Vestal could be in 4. Maybe you want the Vestal in 2. Maybe you want to play a front row Vestal with Illumination and fucking, like, Hand of Light. I don't really suggest it, but you could. Like, play around stuff. There is, like, use move skills, like maybe Dirk Stab your first turn. Like, if you have like, Dirk Stab, first turn, and then you can start using row 3 stuff, and your Vestal doesn't really matter. Like, there's ways to synergize, or, I guess another thing could be, you have a Grave Robber. Let's put it like this. Grave Robber here. She lunges, goes into position 2, and then the Man-at-Arms uses Rampart, and then he moves into 2, and then the Grave Robber's now in 3 and can lunge again. Like, those are synergies you can do. Same thing with Holy Lance. Like, there's ways to synergize your team once you're getting at higher levels, particularly with movement and marks and stuns and stun damage, like with Finish Him on the Bounty Hunter. There's ways to work your team to get a lot better, and you're going to need to do this on your champion level missions, and you're going to need to do this on your Stygian and your bloodmoon missions. You can't really afford to just kind of roll the dice and be like, yeah, I like the Plague Doctor, or I like the Grave Robber, and we'll see how it works out. You can't really do that. Long-winded, but it's very, very important to not just kind of pick random comps. You actually have to be thinking about what you're doing. And just prepping for a mission can maybe take 5 to 7 minutes. That's okay. That's a lot of fun. I personally have fun picking a whole team comp and trying to work with it. But you have to be tactical with it. Don't just rush through it and go in 20 seconds. You have to really use your brain. Alright, now finally, I want to think of some other ways to play your characters. Not just, this isn't really like a big tip, but it's just some suggestions. The Crusader, a lot of people, this is my preferred setup right here. I kind of use my Crusader as a utility character more than a damage dealer. So I have Smite. Smite's purely damage, but he has a stun. That's okay. Stun the front 2, that's always fine. Like we said, you want to keep the front 2 alive for a long time by stunning them or whatever, and kill the back ranks. And then I have a stress heal. So and I have a Holy Lance. That's if I get pushed out of position. So if I'm in position 1-2, so I'm not using Holy Lance, 2 out of my 3 skills are actually utility. It's the stun and it's Inspiring Cry. Now these, I can't think of. Bulwark's kind of a meme. That's also a utility skill. The Zealous is like okay, but I don't think I would use Zealous over these. I would maybe use Zealous over Holy Lance, but then what if I get shuffled? I'm like screwed. And I wouldn't use Battle Heal, because this is like if someone's got 5 HP, a monster will still do 5 damage. So you might as well heal 2 and get the stress. So this is what I would run. So 2 out of 3 of these skills is utility. Same thing with the Bounty Hunter. The Bounty Hunter has 2 amazing stuns. He has a stun that can hit 2, 3, 4 and shuffle, and he has a stun that can hit 1, 2 and knockback. He also has, like, he has a mark for other people. He can go before the Arbalist and mark. He has a minus prop mark. Those are the better ones. He has a pull. Caltrips is kind of shit, but, you know, you could use that. So there's a lot of, the Bounty Hunter's kind of a support character. He doesn't do that much damage on his own. 8 to 16 on its own is kind of alright. Like, with the mark, it's very good. But without that, he can keep people stunned for days. So Bounty Hunter is also kind of a support character. And finally, I think the Occultist is... A lot of people see the Occultist as a primary healer. And he kind of is. He's like the second best healer after the Vestal. The Vestal is just inarguably better. But the Occultist offers so much more than just healing. This is just damage. Abyssal is just damage. But he has minus damage, minus prot. That's good against like the Swine King or the Prophet, notably. He has the Mark for Mark synergy. He has a Pull for some Pulse energy if you can clear Corpse. If you have a Leper or a Crusader that can't hit the back ranks, you can use Daemon's Pull. I'd rather just have back row damage dealers to begin with, but he has a Stun. I think the Stun is totally underused. Front row Occultist is completely underrated. Like, this is a very strong Occultist. Position 1 or Position 2, doesn't really matter. Position 2 is arguably better. If you don't want to use Stab, you could use Daemon's Pull. Now, you don't have, like, you have basically no damage, but you're total, like, this is a great stun. Very high crit, 150 is max stun in base game, and then minus 50% damage is actually still decent damage, same thing as Daemon's Pull. And then Torch minus 5, that doesn't matter, who cares. So try using a frontline Occultist every now and then, and trying to use Hands from the Abyss. I didn't use this ability for the longest time, but front row Occultist is actually very good. And with 30 dodge and high speed, he can dodge enemies. And then if he does get hit, he can actually go before a lot of the front row damage dealers and heal himself up before he dies. So, and that also, if you ever bring an Occultist, bring a secondary healer. Please, please, please bring a secondary healer. Don't rely on the Occultist, because if he rolls like a 2 or a 0 on your guy, and they're still gonna die, you need another healer to back them up. The Arbalist is great or the Musketeer is great because they have plus healing received. So if you do that and then use your Occultist, you can get an extra bonus heal from your Occultist in case he rolls low. But always have a secondary healer in case the Occultist kind of fucks up with his move. This is another tip I just thought of in post. I meant to do it before, but I kind of forgot. It's manage your Quirks. Now, don't manage your Quirks on the... We looked at Cecil and like Newville before. Don't manage Quirks on those guys. Those guys kind of suck. Just throw them away. But I have this level 6 Plague Doctor. And now this is an old campaign when I wasn't really that knowledgeable. And that's why I didn't really work on saving my Quirks a lot. So I have people like Mac, my level 6 Plague Doctor, who has Fear of Beasts, Satanophobia, and Thin-Blooded all locked in, and has Zoophobia. Now, combined, like, this is just, like, not good. Like, I have 35% stress versus beasts. So if I fight a dog or anything in the Warrens are all beasts. Every time that swine drummer hits me or that swine, the vomiter guy hits me, I get 35% more stress, and I have minus 10 accuracy to hit them. And then I go in the ruins, I have 20% more stress because everything there is unholy. I have minus blight resist on a character that all they have is blight resist. So, like, once you start getting characters that, like, I'm gonna keep this guy, just get rid of all their negative quirks. Even if they're locked in, it's totally worth doing. I made a video on this a while ago. I'll try and link that somewhere, about how to manage quirks. You get rid of every single negative quirk that you can. Except for, let me try and find, like, a shitty one. Shitty ones like Tippler is awful, but the opposite one, Hard Resolution, that's fine. Just, like, oh, you can't use the bar. Like, no one cares. It's like Deviant Tastes can't visit the brothel. That doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter. But Dipsomania, all the ones that force you to have carryover interactions, those can be bad. Those can give you diseases or negative quirks or blights and bleeds. Like, just stuff like this. I have 35% stress in the ruins now, because everything in there is unholy, and I have minus 10 accuracy for unholy. I have minus 10 accuracy in the ruins. Like, that's bad. Minus 10 accuracy for nothing? All I have is a quirk. I have to get rid of stuff like this. So just get rid of all the negative quirks that aren't really bad. Like, if you have a Crusader with minus ranged crit, leave that. Leave the bad ones that don't affect you. Like, if I had, like, lazy. I minus 5 range skills. I don't have a range skill because I have Zealous. But like we said before, Zealous isn't even that good. So if all I'm losing is 5 accuracy on Zealous, that's okay because the rest of this doesn't matter. And it's not minus 5 accuracy melee skill, which totally screws me. And at the same time, try and get quirks that maximize stuff that matters, like a plus accuracy quirk or a plus really good quirks are plus blight resist, like Clotter and thick blooded. I don't know, like or hard noggin, or in this guy like plus versus unholy, versus like max HP on a tank. This is a Crusader, so unholy hater is really good here. Stuff that like speed and accuracy quirks. Stuff that maximizes your hero is great. Stuff that hurts your hero unnecessarily. Like, I have so much money. I know this is and I'm on week 100 something and I have a lot of money. But if I have enough money, I can really afford to spend like 5k or 3k getting rid of a quirk. It's not that bad. Like, I'm doing it right now. I'm just trying to get rid of all the really bad quirks. Like, even just on like Calm, it just looks better knowing that I don't have these 4 really awful quirks on my hero. So just try and focus those and watch that other video if you want a better explanation. So, just to recap, we started with dismiss early heroes that are trash instead of trying to save them and salvage them and spend money on them. We talked about lowering Torch at the end of a fight and looking at the wiki to use Curios, in case you haven't. We talked about killing back ranks, focusing back rank damage dealers. We talked about focusing speed and accuracy on your trinkets. We talked about stalling fights to get back your HP and your stress before moving on, so you can be in better shape for the next fight. And we talked about synergizing your teams, like with marks or with stuns and stun damage or pulls. And then we talked about thinking of other ways to use heroes, like a cultist in the front row or a utility bounty hunter, utility crusader. Think of other skills if you want to use illumination, maybe. There's different ways to play heroes. Not everybody's a pure damage dealer, and that's what I like about this game. There's different ways to play heroes. I think another one top of my head, Abomination. Try not transforming him. Try just using the stun. You could stun 3 people and cycle stun. Very good. Now, I hope these tips have been helpful. Like I said, this is kind of geared towards more, like maybe you have 20 hours in this game or 15 hours in this game. This isn't for veteran people. This is for people who kind of know their way around the game but are really starting to get into that end level content or higher difficulty content. They don't really know what to do. I hope this has been helpful. Please comment anything down below and I will give my opinion and try and help you through any questions you have. I'll see y'all around.